Chernobyl, the name itself evokes images of disaster and despair. What was once a bustling city at the heart of the Soviet Union, home to families working at the nearby nuclear power plant, became synonymous with the devastating consequences of a nuclear meltdown. On April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, located in what is now Ukraine, became the site of the world's worst nuclear disaster. The city of Pripyat, built just 3 kilometers from the plant to house its workers and their families, was a testament to the Soviet ideal of progress. With its wide avenues, modern apartment blocks, and vibrant community life, Pripyat represented the bright future promised by nuclear energy. However, this dream turned into a nightmare in the early hours of April 26. The explosion at reactor number 4 shattered the illusion of safety and progress, releasing a massive amount of radioactive material into the atmosphere. The city of Pripyat, once a symbol of Soviet pride, became a ghost town, forever scarred by the invisible enemy of radiation. The events at Chernobyl served as a stark reminder of the immense power of nuclear energy and the devastating consequences of its mishandling. The disaster at Chernobyl was not a random act of fate. It was the result of a series of human errors and a flawed reactor design. On that fateful night, engineers at the plant were conducting a safety test on reactor number 4. This test, intended to simulate a power failure, was poorly planned and executed. The reactor's design, known as the RBMK-1000, was known to have inherent safety flaws. One major flaw was the lack of a containment structure, a feature common in Western reactors, which would have contained the explosion. Another flaw was a design characteristic known as a positive void coefficient, which meant that any increase in steam production would lead to a surge in power. During the test, a combination of operator errors and design flaws led to an uncontrolled chain reaction. The reactor's power surged uncontrollably, leading to a steam explosion that blew the roof off the reactor building. The core of the reactor, containing highly radioactive fuel, was exposed to the atmosphere. This catastrophic failure released a plume of radioactive material into the sky. This plume would spread across the Soviet Union and Europe, carrying with it the invisible threat of radiation. The events of that night exposed the world to the terrifying reality of a nuclear meltdown. In the immediate aftermath of the explosion, confusion and disbelief reigned. It took Soviet authorities over 36 hours to order the evacuation of Pripyat. The residents, initially told to stay indoors, were finally instructed to pack a bag with only essential belongings. They were assured that their evacuation would be temporary, lasting only a few days. Thousands of buses and trucks descended on the city, ferrying its 50,000 residents to safety. Families were uprooted from their homes, leaving behind pets, belongings, and a life they would never reclaim. The evacuation, though delayed, was remarkably orderly, a testament to the discipline ingrained in Soviet citizens. However, the delay in the evacuation meant that many residents were exposed to dangerous levels of radiation. The invisible enemy had already begun to work its insidious effects. The residents of Pripyat, many of whom had witnessed the eerie glow emanating from the reactor the night before, were now refugees in their own country. The explosion at Chernobyl was not just a Soviet problem. The radioactive cloud carried by wind currents spread across Europe and beyond. Countries as far away as Sweden detected unusual levels of radiation in their atmosphere. The world watched in horror as the invisible threat of radiation crossed borders and oceans. The initial Soviet response was one of secrecy. The government, fearing international backlash and internal panic, downplayed the severity of the disaster. However, the evidence was irrefutable. The world was now aware of the catastrophic event that had unfolded at Chernobyl. The disaster at Chernobyl exposed the global nature of nuclear risks. It highlighted the need for international cooperation and transparency in the event of nuclear accidents. The world learned a harsh lesson: a nuclear disaster anywhere is a threat to everyone, everywhere. Section 5. The Liquidators, heroes of the Chernobyl crisis. In the face of unimaginable danger, ordinary men and women stepped forward to confront the invisible enemy. These brave individuals, known as liquidators, were tasked with the perilous job of containing the disaster at Chernobyl. They were firefighters, soldiers, miners, and engineers, all called upon to perform extraordinary acts of courage. Working in conditions of extreme radiation, the liquidators risked their lives to extinguish fires, bury radioactive debris, and decontaminate the surrounding area. They operated heavy machinery, erected makeshift barriers, and even dropped materials from helicopters onto the exposed reactor core to try to smother the radiation. The work was grueling, dangerous, and often carried out with inadequate protection. Many liquidators received high doses of radiation, leading to long-term health problems. Their sacrifice helped prevent an even greater catastrophe. They are the unsung heroes of Chernobyl, their courage and selflessness etched in the history of the disaster. Section 6. Containing the catastrophe, the sarcophagus. One of the most remarkable feats of engineering in human history was the construction of the sarcophagus over the destroyed reactor. This massive concrete and steel structure, built in a race against time and radiation, was designed to contain the radioactive remains of reactor number 4. The construction of the sarcophagus was a monumental undertaking. It involved thousands of workers, working in hazardous conditions, toiling around the clock to enclose the reactor in a protective shell. The sarcophagus, while hastily constructed, served its purpose, significantly reducing the release of radiation from the damaged reactor. However, the sarcophagus was never intended to be a permanent solution. Over time, cracks and leaks began to appear, raising concerns about its long-term effectiveness. This led to the construction of a new, larger containment structure known as the New Safe Confinement, which was completed in 2019. This new structure, designed to last for a century, stands as a testament to human ingenuity in the face of disaster. Section 7. Chernobyl Today, a ghostly reminder. 38 years after the disaster, Chernobyl remains a place frozen in time. The city of Pripyat stands as a haunting reminder of the human cost of nuclear disaster. Buildings are crumbling, streets are overgrown with vegetation, and possessions lie untouched, as if their owners had just stepped out. The exclusion zone, a 30-kilometer radius around the plant, remains largely uninhabited. However, nature has begun to reclaim the area. Wildlife has returned, flourishing in the absence of human activity. Chernobyl has become an unexpected haven for biodiversity, a poignant reminder of nature's resilience. Today, Chernobyl is a site of pilgrimage for those seeking to understand the magnitude of the disaster and its lasting impact. It is a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of technological failure and the enduring power of the atom. Section 8. Lessons from Chernobyl, a legacy of change. The Chernobyl disaster was a watershed moment in the history of nuclear power. It forced the world to confront the potential dangers of nuclear energy and the need for stringent safety measures. The disaster led to significant improvements in reactor design, safety protocols, and international cooperation in the field of nuclear power. One of the most important legacies of Chernobyl is the increased awareness of the risks associated with nuclear technology. The disaster served as a wake-up call, prompting a global reassessment of nuclear safety standards. It led to the creation of international organizations and agreements aimed at preventing future accidents and ensuring a safer nuclear future. Chernobyl also highlighted the importance of transparency and open communication in the event of nuclear accidents. The initial Soviet attempts to cover up the disaster only exacerbated the situation, leading to mistrust and fear. The lessons learned from Chernobyl emphasized the need for timely and accurate information sharing to effectively respond to and manage nuclear emergencies. Section 9. Conclusion. Remembering Chernobyl, shaping the future. The Chernobyl disaster stands as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of human error and technological failure. It is a story of courage, sacrifice, and the enduring spirit of those who risked their lives to contain the disaster and mitigate its impact. The legacy of Chernobyl is complex and multifaceted. It is a story of loss and resilience, of devastation and rebirth. As we move forward, it is essential to remember the lessons of Chernobyl. The disaster serves as a constant reminder of the responsibility that comes with harnessing the power of the atom. It underscores the need for unwavering commitment to safety, transparency, and international cooperation in the pursuit of nuclear energy. The story of Chernobyl is not just about the past, it is a story about the future. It is a story that compels us to strive for a safer, more sustainable world, where the benefits of technology are harnessed responsibly and the risks are effectively managed. It is a story that reminds us that the choices we make today will shape the world for generations to come.